Bernie Sanders filed a bill in the Senate on Wednesday that would abolish all federal penalties for possessing and growing marijuana. The International Business Times reports the Ending Federal Marijuana Prohibition Act of 2015 would remove references to cannabis in the Controlled Substances Act. And here's what Bernie said, quote, "The time is long overdue for us to take marijuana off the federal government's list of outlawed drugs. In my view, states should have the right to regulate marijuana the same way the state and local laws now govern sales of alcohol and tobacco." So naturally, this has gotten, a very positive response online. People love this. But the sad reality is, it ain't going anywhere. And this is why I think people are so frustrated with Washington, is that you can take an issue where an overwhelming majority of the American people are on board with it, and it's dead on arrival. With legalizing marijuana now at a federal level, 60% of the American people want it. But Bernie Sanders' bill, dead on arrival. No chance. No chance. So at this point, it's honestly crazy because we're so openly and obviously an oligarchy, and we're not a functioning democracy anymore. And when a guy like Bernie Sanders gets up there and represents us, and he gets nowhere, that's further evidence to back that up. Now, over time, I think we will win this battle. It's just a matter of how we're going to win this battle. Will we win it through the court system? Perhaps. Maybe there are some cases that have a shot to make some sort of constitutional argument for legal weed. Will we win it through Congress? Less likely, but maybe. Will we win it through changing regulations, executive regulations, so government agency regulations, changing the rules for the DEA, that the federal government can just act without even going through Congress? Maybe. Obama's already kind of loosened some rules in that respect, and obviously he's cutting sentences for some people and pardoning some nonviolent drug offenders, so possibly that way as well. I do think we'll eventually win, but it just annoys me that there's this big time lag between when we say we want something and we end up getting it. And right now we have this massive cognitive dissonance between what state and local policies are in some places and what federal policy is. So when you look at Colorado, you look at Washington, they've legalized weed at a state level, but technically that's still illegal because it's illegal at a federal level. So it's all functioning fine and dandy now, but a lot of people don't know because they don't know the way the system works in the U.S. that at any given second, that could all be over. God forbid you elect a President Ted Cruz or some shit. He could just decide day one. Send in the guys with the guns. Shut down every single legal weed store in Colorado. Why? I'm against it. And hey, federal law's already on my side. So Obama and Holder are just being somewhat kind by letting it happen. They haven't fought enough to actually try to get it legal at a federal level, but they're letting it happen. They're not cracking down as hard as they can. They used to do it a lot more. But you got to fix that. You have to have the federal laws match up with the state laws, or at least decriminalize on the federal level and allow the states to, if they so choose, legalize it. But as of right now, the states would have no recourse if the federal government shut them down and said no more. I don't care what your state laws say, because it's no different, guys, than if, Mississippi or Louisiana said federal gun laws don't apply to us. All liberals would rightly say, that's ridiculous. You don't know how the country works. You don't know how the government works. You don't understand that the federal government overrides state governments, supremacy clause of the Constitution, and it doesn't matter if you dislike the federal gun laws. You got to abide by them anyway, bitch. We'd say that and we'd be right, because that's the way the system works. It's no different from marijuana laws. They could say, hey, we want it legal in our state and fuck off, federal government. That's no different than saying we don't want any gun laws. Fuck off, federal government. Same thing. Same legal principle at work. And it wouldn't stand up in court. So you have to change it. You have to fight for it. And Bernie Sanders, in many ways, is probably trying to avert a disaster, because this can morph into a disaster if a Republican president gets in there and decides, fun's over, son.